There we go. Welcome. Here we go. There we go. Welcome, everybody. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, YouTubers. I'm like adjusting my, here we go, adjusting my lighting as we speak. Good enough. Good enough. Hello, all. All right. Closing some of my windows on my computer just to get it out of my face. I like it a little cleaner here. There we go. All right. Hello, guys. Hello, hello, hello. Let me, get TikTok rolling here. One moment. Come on. All right. Anyway, quick hello here. You know how this goes. Always takes me a second to get TikTok set up. Oh, and my screen needs to be wiped on TikTok too. Don't mess with me. Don't mess with me. That's pretty good. All right. 2024 election. That's good. 1 second, guys. Hello. 1 second here. My little tiny. Can try that one. Why not? Why not? Boom. All right. All right. Ready to go live. Woo! There we go. All right. Anyway, hey guys, welcome. YouTuber. There we go. TikTok's live now. All right. All right. Assuming you all can hear me on TikTok. I always worry about that, but I think you can. And YouTube, I'm sorry, TikTok. Actually, I'll make sure my TikTok, there we go. All right, TikTok is ready. There we go. Hey guys, is that good enough? That's good enough. Always, adjusting the camera is always difficult. There we go. Good enough. Good enough. All right. Hey, TikTok. I know my wig. I've got my, I have my new Donald Trump wig that I purchased for, it's hard to get, there we go. It's kind of hard to get on. I may need hairspray or so. Actually, it's already messing up a little. I may need hairspray for this freaking thing. It's like a tribble. I think I'm going to have to, I need a woman's help with this. I'm going to need to like get it wet and adjust it here. It's already kind of falling down on me. All right. It kind of goes like this. It seems it goes across this way, I guess. Not entirely. Oh, it's breaking apart a little here. This is not easy, guys. All right, I'm working on my Trump wig here. It's not easy. It's okay. It's not terribly well. I'm gonna have to get it wet. I don't really want to do the whole live with it because I think I'm gonna have an itchy head by the time it's over, and it keeps falling apart. I know. Well, it says you can actually you can wet it and quaff it. But I'm not, I know it's really weird what's front and what's back because, well, you know the back because it's got little tags on it. Although honestly, you almost could wear the back. I mean, I almost could actually. Actually, it's kind of funny you say that because without the tag, let me get rid of the tag. Without the tag, you wouldn't necessarily know what's front and back. Like this literally could be the front, to be honest, right? Without the tag. I mean, this could be Trump, but this is officially the front, but as I said, I'm going to need to get it wet. It's falling apart. I'm going to have my sister help me do this in Chicago. Oh my God, it's become heat miser now. All right, well, we're going to have to work on this. I'm clearly going to have to rinse it, and it's pissing me off. Trump's hair. I mean, the guy did spend 2 hours every morning like doing his hair. Now he doesn't anymore. You've seen Trump's hair is horrible now. But although to be honest, it's kind of funny no matter what, because it's Boris. I would say it's more Boris Johnson than Trump, isn't it? It is definitely. No, but the problem is it needs to be wetted and then styled a little. It's not, I'm going to have to see what we can do with this. All right. I'm going to stop messing with it. It's kind of pissing me off at this point. Not terrible though. Not terrible. I don't want to leave it on. It's literally it's a little warm. So I'm afraid after an hour of wearing that, I'm going to be like, itchy head. Exactly. Build the wall. Mexico will build the wall. Kamala Harris's crowds are fake. It's like, anyway, welcome everybody. Oh my God. I know I was thinking if I need a little bit of I've got orange construction paper, whatever you call it. I was thinking of cutting out 2 little circles and put some tape and just put them on my cheeks when I wear the wig. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you, John. Thank you, Marie. I see lots of little gifts here. Thank you, Maria, again. Martin. Sorry, I was doing all of this without Chazak, Jorge. Who else we got here? Elizabeth, Eva, user 424, several things. Kronos. Dinosaur from Flower Lady. Thank you. Bjorn. I missed a lot of you guys here. Succeed. I think I'm caught up now. Okay. Don't want to miss any gifts at the end here, but thank you guys for all the gifts. You're very welcome, Cannabis. And thank you for the gift as well. Thank you, Richard. There's Flower Lady. Sunshine. Sasha's little buddy is in the hall barking. Thank you, John. I'm hoping she doesn't hear him because otherwise it's going to get loud. Woo! Anyway, hey, Wolford, thank you for that. Thank you, Kristen. So welcome, guys. We've got a lot of news today, a lot of election news, a lot of Ukraine news. Ukraine, it's day 7 of Ukraine's invasion of Russia, which is pretty funny. I mean, in the end, I think Ukraine will probably, Russia will probably get its territory back, but it's pretty damn funny. And actually, I was thinking about that this is the second time in like 2 years, maybe. Wasn't it last summer that they had the coup that basically succeeded? And Putin, Prigozhin shouldn't have stepped down. He should have just gone at Putin. But Prigozhin, the coup was working. They couldn't even defend Moscow, which was crazy. And this time, the Ukrainians just invaded Russia and they took the land. And the Russians were like, ah. It's very funny. It's kind of amazing, actually. Oh, well. But let's start with the U.S. election first, and then we'll move over to Ukraine. Thank you, Hopeful Optimist. Thank you, Ava. So the way this works, guys, anybody who's new, is I do the show every night, Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern time, U.S. We talk about the latest news from Ukraine and the latest U.S. election news. I start with the election news. I am John Aravosis here in Washington, D.C. I've been doing American politics for many, many decades now. Thank you, Call Me, for the gifts there. Thank you, James Boudreau, for subscribing. I've been doing this for many years and just wanted to basically start doing a show about Ukraine. Love that thing. Thank you, Hopeful. And I've been doing a show about Ukraine, about the war there, and have been recently as well doing the American election news. So, all right. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Crazy. So let's get rolling here. Trump's polls. So Trump is freaking out. A number of indices on this today, indicators of Trump freaking out. New York Times had a very interesting story this weekend as well about it, which I thought was interesting. Trump's polls have not budged in 3 weeks. Was looking today at a poll of polls. And a poll of polls, thank you, Ginger, thank you, Jamie. A poll of polls is when you aggregate all the polls together. You look at 10, 20, 30 polls of the last couple days, couple weeks, whatever. Thank you, User 336 and Hopeful. And you aggregate them, thank you, Canada Zen. You aggregate the polls together and you look on average, how are the polls doing? What is very interesting with this, thank you, Iggy, is that over the past 3 weeks, from Biden being the nominee to Harris being the nominee, Trump's share of the vote has not changed. He has been at 43.5%, which actually sounds awfully close to where he was last time. What percentage did he get? Alexa, what percentage of the vote did Trump get in 2020?
In 2020, Donald Trump's vote percent was 46.9%.
Okay, 46.9. So he had 3 more in 2020. Trump is getting 40. You were very close, Workinator. Yep, 46.9. So Trump 3 weeks ago against Biden got 43.5% of the vote. Thank you, Kennedy Zen. He beat Biden by 3 points. Biden had 40.2. Okay. So Trump was ahead of Biden by 3 points 3 weeks ago. Again, Trump was 43.5. Today against Kamala Harris, guess where Donald Trump is? 43.5. He hasn't changed at all. Multiple subscriptions. I'm going to guess those were some gifts coming in. Just Call Me, Tired, and Cannabis. You've all got gifts. I'm going to get Dark. Thank you, Dark, for the gifts there. Dark Phoenix. Very sweet of you. Thank you, Marie and Elizabeth, for gifts as well. And Kristen. So he hasn't gone up in the polls, but he was beating Trump by 3 points at 43.5. He's now losing to Kamala Harris by 2 points. She's got 45.9, 2.4 percentage points. So he's gone from winning by 3 to losing by 2. That's a 5-point shift. That's very interesting. Thank you, Grumpy. Also very interesting. RFK Jr., third-party candidate. Well, when Biden was the nominee, or going to be the nominee, RFK Jr. was getting 8.7% of the vote. Now that Kamala Harris is the nominee, he's no longer getting 8.7. He's getting 4.9. That's a 4-point difference. It looks like, no, okay. RFK Jr., Harris enters the race. RFK Jr. goes down 4 points, excuse me. Harris goes up 5 points. It sure looks like those RFK supporters moved to her and not to Trump at all. It's not. Now, one thing I always warn you guys, and I'll keep warning you, is in America, you don't win elections at the national level. You've got to win state by state votes. Thank you, Pedro. Because you basically, each state has a certain number of points allotted to it, and you've got to win 270 points in order to win the election. Hillary Clinton won the national election by 3 million votes, by 2 percentage points, and 3 million votes, and she lost because she didn't win the right states. It's a very screwed up system. It's just the way it is. So you always want to be careful when looking at national polls. Just because Harris is winning in the national polls by 2 points doesn't mean she's winning. But it is obviously good news if Biden was losing by 3 to Trump and Harris is winning by 2 to Trump. That is good. That's a 5-point shift in the polls. That's going to bring everything up, right? So it's very good news. Thank you, Courtney. A little more here. Trump is freaking out here. I mean, more so than usual. There was a really interesting New York Times article this weekend about this very fact. Trump insiders, and I'm sure Trump got pissed about it, basically saying he doesn't quite know what to do because he hasn't quite been in this position before. He was beating Biden. Biden was old. Biden was bad at giving speeches. Biden was terrible at debating, right? Trump basically knew he was going to win, and Trump was going to coast to the election. Now he's got this vibrant young-ish, she's 59 years old, this vibrant young woman fighting against him, and people love her. She's getting tons of publicity. Trump is not getting publicity. She's getting the publicity. That never happens, right? Trump always gets the publicity. She's also getting very good publicity. She's not just getting stories covering her. Trump stories covering him are all the idiotic things he's saying, or J.D. Vance talking about forcing women to have babies from their rape, right? I mean, crazy stuff. Trump's not getting good coverage. She's getting really good coverage. So New York Times said, let me read some of this from their story. Trump has been knocked off his bearings, disoriented by his new contest with Kamala Harris, and he's unsure of how to take her on. Trump repeatedly calls Harris nasty and a bitch, the New York Times reported. Despite his public insistence that he would rather face Miss Harris rather than Mr. Biden, those close to him say that is untrue. He has been on a glide path to an all but certain victory facing Biden. Now he needs to work for it. Also unsettling to him, for the first time in Mr. Trump's political life, his opponent has received more sustained news coverage than he has. She's stolen all the media coverage. Nearly 3 weeks since she became his Democratic opponent, Mr. Trump and his campaign are still struggling to settle on how to define Ms. Harris, what message with which to attack her, and even what nickname with which to belittle her. He initially called her Laughing Kamala, mocking her laugh, before cycling through other epithets, including Crooked Kamala, an insult he used for both Hillary Clinton and Mr. Biden, and lately he has favored Crazy Kamala. I mean, he's getting worse and worse because Crooked didn't quite, I mean, she does laugh. Not clear how that's an insult, right? But she laughs. Calling her crooked made no sense because there's literally no allegation of her being a criminal, right? I mean, there's literally, with Biden, they made up a bunch of shit, right? Thank you, Halo. But with Harris, there's like no anything. There's no allegation of any corruption, right? So that doesn't make sense. Now he's calling her crazy. Again, for Harris? How does crazy, like Harris? That doesn't make sense. I mean, he's off his game because, I mean, let's face it. Insults in order to work need a kernel of, not just a kernel of truth maybe, but Crooked Hillary, you know, the Justice Department was going crazy on her, all this kind of stuff, right? They had enough other stuff out there to make Hillary look bad, even if it wasn't fair. With Kamala Harris, there's nothing talking about her being crazy and there's nothing talking about her being crooked. He doesn't know what to call her. What Trump did do yesterday, for example, thank you, LWD, for subscribing. What Trump did do yesterday, and thank you, Barton, for the lightnings. Or there were a few gifts that came in. Barton again, Hobie, Bob, Halo, Cindy Lou, Bob, a few other guys, Depress, LB. Sorry, a lot of stuff came in. Thank you, guys. Mark, I think I got all of you now. I got most of you now. Thank you, guys. Trump's trying to accuse her of anything he can. And what he did now, thank you, Randy, thank you, Adventures, thank you, Arun. What he did, and Brian, what he did now is he's claiming that the crowds are fake. The news is showing these beautiful thousands of people when she arrived at the airport yesterday. It was a lie. It was all AI generated. Trump literally put a picture of the airplane up and said, look at the reflection in the airplane. You can see nobody's there. So CNN and NBC News both put out their video of the event. It's I don't want to show, well, can't show you a video because it's on my phone. It's amazing. She had thousands. I mean, it was a huge, probably 10,000 people, huge, the turnout she had. But again, he's trying to do anything he can. He's trying to do anything he can to basically win, and he doesn't know what to do. So he's lying. Of course, he's lying because that's what he does, but still, it's very interesting. Speaking of Trump's lies, National Public Radio, our public radio system here in the States, reviewed Trump's recent press conference and found 162 misstatements, exaggerations, or outright lies in 64 minutes. In other words, around 2.3 to 2.5 lies per minute from Trump in his hour-long press conference. It's pretty freaking funny. Oh, I love that. Oh my God, Yoda's here. Russian Yoda. Russian Yoda just weighed in. No truth you're telling. Of course, your was Y-O-U-R, but no truth you're telling. That was absolutely, we haven't had that good of a troll comment in a long time. Thank you, Jean-Marquis. Thank you, Kofi. You know how much we love our trolls. Catherine, Vix, Cannabis, a lot of gifts here. Randy. But I particularly like them when they do Yoda speak. Throw me down the stairs, my shoes. What was it? No truth you're telling. Ooh. Thank you, Yoda. The Trump campaign reports that it got hacked this weekend, they reported. Thank you, running for the gift. Hey, thank you, Jake. Love watching when making dinner. I appreciate that. Thank you. Trump's campaign claims they were hacked. Politico says that someone approached them and is trying to basically give them documents from Trump's campaign. Trump says it's the Iranians. It might be. Thank you, Vix. But there's no reason to believe Trump, of course, because he's a pathological liar. Thank you, Sunshine. What's interesting is two things. One, you might not have heard about the fact that Trump's campaign was hacked. You know why? Because the media isn't reporting the documents that were hacked. They're not telling us what was in them. Thank you, Sunshine. The media breathlessly for weeks, right up to the election, leaked documents day by day by day. They set up special teams of reporters, special sites on their websites that every day, every hour of the day, they screwed Hillary Clinton with each new document that was stolen from her staff and from the Democratic committee. Now, Politico was offered. Politico's not reporting on it. No one's reporting on it because it would be wrong. Because when it's Donald Trump, it's wrong to report on documents that foreign powers steal from American presidential candidates. But when it was Hillary, we spent 3 weeks of it and it cost her the election. Okay. So a little more here. Trump, you've got to love this. The Trump campaign, I kid you not, the Trump campaign issued a statement about their utter horror that a foreign enemy of America would hack a political campaign. It's horrific. Everyone must speak out about it. Guys, okay. Russia, foreign enemy, attacked Hillary Clinton's campaign and helped Trump win. Trump not only defended it, Trump literally came out and said, if you get hacked, you're lazy and did a bad job on security and you deserve it. Trump literally said that. That was Trump's response to Russia attacking America. Okay. By the way, thank you for the multiple gifts. I did see that. Who was that from? Bjorn. Thank you, Bjorn. I saw it, but I was on a roll. So why the people, Lynn, Dennis, Craig, and Chad all over on YouTube, you now have gift memberships for a month, thanks to Bjorn. That means you can join our Saturday morning show, which Saturday I may be flying to Chicago, so we won't be doing one this Saturday. But it means I also am doing shows throughout the week, throughout the day. I'm doing shows just for paid subscribers about the latest election stuff. We did one today. Although I do some at night too, obviously for free, which is what this is every night. So anyway, back to the news. Trump defended Russia, basically, said it was Hillary's fault she got hacked. He called on Russia to hack Hillary. Remember, Trump said, Russia, if you're listening, can you find me Hillary's emails? Well, Russia hacked Hillary in response to Trump's request. Trump defended it. Trump defended Putin. Remember, during the Helsinki press conference when Trump had the summit with Putin in Helsinki, Finland? And Trump came out and literally defended Putin at the press conference for hacking our election, right? I mean, and Trump's son, John Jr., literally welcomed Russian government assistance winning the election, which I would consider treason. Thank you, Trilitic. Donald Trump Jr., Trump's son, released, Google this, by the way. We know this because Donald Trump's son released his own emails on Twitter at the time. He released the emails on Twitter showing an email coming to him saying the Russian government has contacted us and they'd like to help Donald your father win the election in 2016, help us beat Hillary. What do you want to do? He wrote back, I love it! Exclamation point. Again, it's in Donald Jr.'s own emails, and the source of Donald Jr.'s emails was Donald Jr.'s Twitter account where he made the emails public, thinking somehow this made him look good. They did then meet with the Russians. They met with people who said they were representatives of the Russian government, and the meeting did not go well because they weren't offering them much stuff. But the point here is that Donald Trump was intimately involved with the Russians. Donald Trump asked the Russians to hack Hillary's campaign. Once they did attack Hillary, the Russian government approached Trump, and Trump's own son said, help us defeat Hillary Clinton. And now Trump is saying, oh, it's treason, it's bad, it's horrific when a foreign power, a foreign enemy, which is my favorite part, a foreign enemy hacks a political campaign and helps. Yeah, well, whatever. Thank you, Ginger. I mean, whatever, just whatever. In any case, so hardy har about the hack. Oh, this was funny too. I'm telling you, I was having an online chat with Michael Weiss, who's very good. He's this defense writer, very smart guy. He used to be in DC, he's in LA now. And we were talking about Trump and all the stuff he's doing and how, Trump's craziness is not helping him right now. And I was saying I was a little worried because, let's face it, Trump's crazy stuff worked in 2016, didn't work in 2020, but Trump spouting his lies and spouting his bullshit, his sexism, calling Kamala Harris a bitch. He called her a bitch multiple times. That stuff worked for him. People liked him being a sexist pig who sexually assaulted women and, violently tried to overthrow the government. Well, they liked it. His people like it. So I was kind of worried as to whether this stuff would work for him. Another example of the stuff they're doing, they've been going after Tim Walz, accusing him of being like a bad military guy. 24 years, Kamala Harris's VP served in the military, 24 years. Trump's people are saying that's not enough. The fact that he resigned after 24 years, thank you, Nikki, thank you, Terrence, shows he's a bad soldier because he resigned after 24 years. He was discharged from the military. J.D. Vance served 4 years in the military. What was J.D. Vance doing? He was a press secretary. He would type press releases and stuff. Again, more power to him. Military needs janitors too. I'm not going to criticize it, but they're attacking the guy that had 24 years military service because the press secretary had 4 years. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. In any case, so the latest attack from JD Vance and company and Trump, you're going to love this. The latest attack is, get this. JD, thank you, Rory. Tim Walz, right? Kamala's vice president, isn't affectionate enough with his wife. Thank you, Rory. Thank you, Lamb Chop. Now, when discussing men who are not affectionate with their wives and have a really creepy relationship and how they touch each other, does that make you think of anybody? Donald Trump's son came out and accused Tim Walz of having a creepy relationship with his wife, that they don't touch each other, they're not affectionate. Trump's campaign did the same thing. JD Vance did the same thing. Donald Trump and Melania have the creepiest relationship in terms of how they touch each other. I put a video on TikTok. Somebody did a 1:40 video, almost 2 minute long video of all the times Trump reached for Melania's hand and she either slapped him. Multiple times she slapped his hand. She would pull her hand away. At one point, he's got like his arm on her hand and he's pulling her and she's trying to pull away. And you literally see her walking and going like this as he's yanking her. Several times he tries to pinky hold her hand and she literally keeps pulling away. I mean, a couple times she also has this thing I learned watching the video. She will move her hand and like swipe her hair. So he's trying to touch her pinky to get her to like interlock because they're on TV. And you literally see her go, oh, and she does this model thing like, oops, the hair is getting better. This model thing, brushing her hair over because it's her trick she uses when she doesn't want to touch him. Guys, Donald Trump criticizing someone for not showing enough, for showing creepy creepy disaffection with their wife. This is the thing. This is the thing that blows my mind. That absolutely blows my mind. I mean, he's a pig. I'm sorry, he's a pig. My mom didn't like that I called him a pig. He's a pig. I mean, he's a sexist pig, but he's a liar. And but I will say this. This is what they do. Donald Trump's a draft dodger. So what did they do? They attacked Tim Walz over his military service. The fact that Donald Trump's a draft dodger, they figured we're not afraid, right? Attack Tim Walz for 24 years in the military when J.D. Vance was only in 4 years. Attack Tim Walz for not being in combat when J.D. Vance literally sat behind a typewriter. I mean, this is what they do. And the thing is, historically, Republicans get away with it. They get away with being hypocrites and attacking you for things they do. In this case, it's not working. And this is why I think they're going to get nastier and nastier, basically, between now and the election. Because as I said at the beginning of the show, Trump is losing in the polls. It's 3 months to go. And in Europe, that sounds like a very long time for an election. In America, 3 months is not a very long time. So Democrats should not be sitting on their laurels. More polls. Who do you trust on the economy? This is going to drive Trump up. I mean, Trump is already kind of depressed and melting down, according to the New York Times. This is going to freak him out even more. Republicans always win polls that say, who do you trust more on the economy, the Democrat or the Republican? It's always the Republican. Financial Times did a poll of registered voters and asked them, who do you trust more in the economy? Since the Financial Times started doing this, the Financial Times is like the Wall Street Journal of England, basically. Very, very august, reputable financial publication for Wall Street. What do they call it? Fleet Street, whatever it is over there. And I think that's what you call it, isn't it? And they asked people, who do you trust more with the economy? Since the polling started by Financial Times years ago, the Republican has always won. With Kamala Harris, this is the first time the Democrat won. She has 42% support for her as the most trusted on the economy. Trump is 41. It gets even better. Joe Biden, 3 weeks ago, Trump was beating Joe Biden by 6 points 3 weeks ago. Trump was 6 percentage points ahead of Biden of people trusting him with the economy more than Biden. Harris entered the race, and instead of Trump being 6 points ahead, he's 1 point behind. That means Harris just raised the numbers by 7 percentage points. She jumped from Biden. Fleet Street's your media. I knew that. See, I knew when I said it. It wasn't that. So who is the British, your Wall Street, so to speak? I knew when I said Fleet Street, it wasn't that. The city? We don't use that word, the city. We use a different phrase here for it, though. The financial center and all of that. Just curious. Because I thought there was a different phrase we use for, like, when we say, we say Wall Street, although you know what we do? I was just going to say, we reference the FTSE. We reference the Dow Jones. Or the New York Stock Exchange for us would be the FTSE in the UK. I think maybe that's what we call it. Bond Street? I don't know. I always thought there was a thing we called the city. Okay. See, we don't say that here. To us, the city means, right. First of all, as Louisa said, the city means New York City. If you said the city of London, I thought you'd literally mean the city of London. Yeah, I'm trying. But your financial district? I mean, the FTSE is the index. The city. How interesting. Okay. For Wall Street, you would say the city. Interesting. Okay. No, just curious. Maybe we don't reference the London Exchange. No, that may be it. That's what I'm looking for, cast iron. I think in terms of America, the London Exchange, I think, is what we would call it. Yeah. I've never heard it called this. I believe you guys, but we don't call it the city here for the financial district. That's what the city. That's funny. I would just think, like you said, the city means New York. In Chicago, we say downtown, typically to mean the city of Chicago when you live in the suburbs, downtown, but that's funny. And the city of London is financial. London is London. That's funny, Paula. Okay, who knew? That's very interesting. Okay, in any case, so yes, Harris is trusted more than Trump with the economy, which is horrific for Republicans. North Carolina, new poll shows Harris and Trump tied 46-46, and some of the election monitors waited and said, that's horrific for Trump. He should not be tied with Kamala Harris. He should be destroying Kamala Harris in North Carolina. They're tied. I think these are more indices of Trump being scared. 3 things happened today. 1, this was scheduled a few days ago. Trump is doing some interview. I mean, come on, interview with Elon Musk tonight on Twitter. And I mean, Elon is the biggest Trump sycophant on the planet. And Elon is sort of as transparent as Trump in that Elon wants something from Trump. So Elon is bending over backwards to use Twitter as much as he can to help Trump. He wants something from Trump. He's sucking up to Trump. So Elon is interviewing Trump tonight on Twitter. Mind you, remember Trump had canceled all his campaign events. He wasn't doing any campaign events for like 2.5 weeks. And we all asked, like, is he sick or what? He's panicking now. He's doing the thing with Twitter. He just announced a campaign event in Pennsylvania. Again, why didn't he announce it before? He's getting worried. Now, mind you, it's just one. Last time he did like 27 events. 2016, August of 2016, Trump did like 27 campaign events. He did one so far this August. One. Okay. He's now doing a second, which good for him, but it's only one more. And Trump, as of today, is posting on Twitter again. He's posting on Twitter again. Guys, Trump went off Twitter a few years ago. First of all, he got banned on Twitter. Elon then because remember, he tried to violently overthrow the government. Twitter was not a fan of that. Most of us weren't. Elon comes and buys Twitter and lets Trump back on. Trump refuses to tweet. Thank you, Shane. Trump then does his little grift, Truth Social. That's Trump's Twitter, right? And remember how now he's selling stock on Truth Social, and he's got billions of dollars of profit, by the way, he's made from this stock. I mean, Trump's not stupid. He knows how to fleece his followers, right? Well, today, he refused to post on Twitter in large part, because he's trying to make money on the other service. Well, he's so desperate that he started posting on Twitter again. And what happened? His stock started to crash. The stock started to crash. So very bad, very bad. Hold on a second. My nephew is trying to call me. I'm going to give him a little message here that I am live. Hold on. All right, there. Just sending him a little message. I always like, whenever it's people back home, I'm always like, emergency. Otherwise, I'm live. So yes, so Trump is back on Twitter, and his stock like crashed like 6 points or something today, which all the investors are not going to be happy. What else we got here? Oh, okay. Now we got Ukraine. Yeah. So we'll do the second half of the show about Ukraine. So, Ukraine, day 901 of Vladimir Putin's 3-day military operation, and Russia is under invasion. Thank you, Sean. For the first time since World War II, Russia is under invasion, which is really kind of amazing. Okay. I love that. My nephew's like, oops, accidentally butt dialed you. That's okay. Thank you for the dinosaurs, Ginger and Sean. So, yeah, the Ukrainians invaded Russia a week ago. Now, Russia invaded Ukraine 2.5 years ago. The Russians are occupying like 18% of Ukraine. The Ukrainians counter-invaded last week, 7 days ago. The Russians were not expecting it. Russia's kind of screwed. I mean, I think Putin's going to eventually get the land back, but he's embarrassed as hell and kind of screwed. So what happened was, in the last 2.5 years, well, I should say, like back in 2014, Russia invades and steals southern Ukraine, Crimea. Then the last 2.5 years, Russia invades and steals this part of Ukraine. So now they're occupying this part of Ukraine. So all the big fighting is going on, along the front here, right? Lots of fighting and fighting in Crimea too. Lots of fighting here. So what do the Ukrainians do? They invaded up here, and they won. They invaded up there, thousands of troops, tanks, lots of vehicles. The Russians weren't expecting it. Ukraine had a very smart plan, and they invaded and got a lot of land. They got a lot of Russian prisoners. The Ukrainians took more prisoners than have ever been taken in one prisoner, what do you want to call it? One capture. They took more than the largest prisoner capture of the war. Putin's freaking out, which is very funny. Basically, what happened was, and I was reading about this, the Russians built a lot of defenses along their border, but then they didn't man them. Thank you, Shorty. So the Ukrainians just kind of walked over them. I mean, but it's great. They built all these defenses. I also read that there was a lot of corruption. So a lot of the stuff that was supposed to be built wasn't really built, or wasn't built very well. But also, they didn't put troops here because they figured, Ukrainians aren't gonna come across the border there. So the Ukrainians came across the border. They control around 1,000 square kilometers in Russia's Kursk Oblast. More than 100,000 Russian civilians have been forced to flee. I'm sorry, this is just delicious stuff, guys. I'm not convinced Ukraine's going to be able to hold this stuff over the long term, but you never know. Thank you, John. but this is delicious stuff. Thank you, chef. This kind of goes back to the beginning of the war. Remember the beginning of the war when Ukraine kept doing stuff? Thank you, Zrinka. Ukraine kept doing stuff that we went, I can't believe they did that. Remember, they sank the Russian sub, not the Russian sub, the Russian battleship, Russia's flagship, the Moskva. They just kept like doing all the. I mean, even when they attacked Moscow, they kept doing all these crazy things that were like, my God, these people, right? Thank you, John Likey. This is yet another example. Now, a little bit more here. According to, this was great. So this was actually very funny. So Putin held like to show the Russian people he's not in charge, right? This is like the insurrection when they tried the coup attempt. Putin did horrible in the coup attempt. He only got Prigozhin to back down by like promising not to kill him, and then he killed him anyway. This is the second embarrassment in 2 years. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Koso. Thank you, Jay Shea. Second embarrassment in 2 years of Putin just getting horrifically embarrassed. By the way, please do keep the gifts coming. I didn't do my gift pitch today, but you guys have been very generous anyway. I do this full time. I do it for free. And your guys' gifts help pay the bills. So please keep coming on TikTok and YouTube. Also the subscriptions, very big fan of the subscriptions, because if I can get enough subscriptions, which is basically a monthly membership, it can support my work more regularly, and I no longer have to keep begging you guys for gifts. So thank you guys if you can help. Thank you, Martin and Buddy and Lamb Chop and Ginger, and actually Mel for sharing the show as well. Jamie and Shalala. So a little bit more here. So Putin holds an event today with some of the other commanders. And the one local guy from Kursk, I don't know if he was a Russian official in Kursk, is briefing Putin. And he says, today, 28 settlements are under enemy control. Goes on to say that the incursion was up to 12 kilometers deep and 40 kilometers long. Putin interrupts the guy and goes, stop giving numbers. Because basically Putin was like saying the guy was saying how bad it was and admitting all the towns they lost and everything else. 28 different towns were taken by the Ukrainians. And Putin's like, okay, stop it. He interrupted the guy. I just love that he stopped the guy to go like, shut up. The Russians did have some advance warning that an attack was going to take place, but they didn't take it seriously. That's according to an expert at the Royal United Services Institute, according to Sky News. Thank you, Chazak, for the naughty chicken. That was very cute, actually. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Big Hawk, John Likey, Depress. A few more gifts here. PC Knoll. I did have caffeine earlier. I don't think it's affecting me as much right now. Thank you, Shalala. Thank you, Jamie. I'm just laughing because I think this is very funny. Little more here. Russia widens evacuations in Kursk Oblast after reports of Ukrainian sabotage groups. So there's no, thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Shalala. There are now reports that the Ukrainians have sent special like hit squads in to blow things up. It might be true. It might not be true. I think it's probably true. So the Russians are doubly freaking out now because of that. Authorities in Russia's Belgorod Oblast. This is great. So the real fighting of the war was happening down here, okay? Ukraine invades here. Well, now the Russian authorities, so this is Kursk. It's like a Russian state, so to speak. Thank you, Jean-Marquis. Thank you, Shalala. The Ukrainians invade here. Now the Russian government in this region is freaking out, okay? The region next to there. Authorities in Russia's that was very nice. Who was that? Thank you. Who is that? Betty. Thank you, Betty. That was a really cool gift. Appreciate that. Authorities in Russia's Belgorod Oblast announced the evacuation of border regions as the Ukrainian incursion reportedly widens. It has been an alarming morning. I love this. The guy's going to go. It has been an alarming morning, the governor of the region said. There has been enemy activity on the border. So the governor's freaking out and publicly freaking out that the Ukrainians may be invading that state as well. I'm sorry. This is great stuff. You know, I will say there was an analysis. I don't know if it was Institute for Study of the War or some of the other defense folks, but they were saying, you know, in the long run, it could be difficult for Ukraine to hold this territory. That could be true. Right now, it's causing real problems for Russia. And I will say at this point, you know, I mean, the Russians aren't doing well. Now, Russia's going to have to call up a lot of men, and in the end, Russia will have more men than Ukraine. But the longer this goes on, the more embarrassing it is that Putin literally lost Russian land. I mean, again, Russia is like Russia, right? No one invades Russia. No one takes Russian land. And the Ukrainians, little old Ukraine did it. A little more here. Oh, this is interesting. So Institute for the Study of War, very good think tank here in DC. said one advantage already for Ukraine in all of this is that Russia now has to worry about defending the entire border. Actually, I mean, down here, not down here because Russia is controlling this, but all of this. Initially, the Russians were maybe worrying a little bit about here in terms of border, but not much else. Now they've got 600 miles of, well, even here potentially, but I think, well, even here potentially, actually, they've got 600 miles or 1,000 kilometers of border they've got to worry about now because they know the Ukrainians are basically playing games and could be attacking anywhere. So now Russia's got to, and they don't have enough men, they don't have enough equipment. They've got to get more men and more equipment now to defend more of the border, which means maybe a larger draft, which the Russian people do not want. So it's good. This is, again, great impact. I'm going to quit with that. We'll do our hangout now. I also have a lot of auction items. The auctions end Wednesday. We've got cool auction items from Ukraine that are over on our Discord community. The mods can tell you how to get there. I've got candy from Ukraine, all sorts of different candy, chocolates, fruit candy, a number of different things, some toffee and stuff. But we've got 6 different Ukrainian candy bars that are Vlad's favorite. I've got a Russian military hat from Ukraine, still new. It's got the label on it. But it was gotten in Ukraine. I'm guessing when they ran over some of the Russian positions, the Russians had some of their supplies still. Some Ukrainian stickers, Ukrainian fridge magnet of the Russian warship Go F Yourself stamp, which shows the Ukrainian soldier flipping off the Russian ship they sank. Carrie's earrings. Yes, Carrie, wonderful Carrie, who has a jewelry business, made these beautiful earrings of little Ukrainian like sweaters in the traditional Ukrainian Vyshyvanka style. And these are very pretty that she made and she donated. So we'll be auctioning these. The description again in these is up in Discord. And I'll show the t-shirt really quick too. We've got a t-shirt. We've got a medium, a large, and an extra large. I would say the sizes are pretty accurate for American sizes, medium, large, and extra large. The winner picks. And it's a black shirt with Ukrainian trident. And what's interesting is I thought the design was a little bit feminine. Once I tried on the t-shirt, it looked really good. I've got a picture and a video, I think, of me wearing it on the Discord. And you'll see it actually looks good on a guy. Like now when I tried it on, I was like, it looks good. So it's not really a feminine design, but it's the Ukrainian trident sort of in a bunch of different ribbons and stuff. So anyway, yes, the FU was both. The sticker, the fridge magnet showing the Ukrainian stamp shows a Ukrainian soldier flipping off the Russian warship, the Moskva. There are 2 meanings behind this stamp. The first is the first day of the war. The Russian warship threatened to bomb Snake Island, Ukrainian island that had a bunch of troops on there. And they said, Ukrainian troops, this is Russian warship, surrender or we will bomb you. And the Ukrainian troops responded, and there's audio that was intercepted. So we have the audio. Russian warship, go F yourself. 6 weeks later, the Ukrainians had developed their own cruise missile, a Neptune cruise missile that they fired at the same Russian warship and sank it. This warship was the flagship of the entire Russian fleet in the area, and the Ukrainians sank it. So the double meaning of the soldier giving the middle finger to the ship is A, saying Russian warship, go F yourself, but it's also, we sank you, you little MF, right? You little mofo. So it's both. I didn't sort of want to go through the whole story, but now I did. Anyway, the other thing I will say, which I don't want to show because I think TikTok will have a heart attack, but I've got a very cool spent shell that I think somebody will have to help me. It's from a larger gun than a machine gun. I can't show you because I think TikTok will get upset, but it is like 6 inches long. It's about this wide. It is a big shell, and it is painted by a Ukrainian artist. She did a beautiful job. The Petrokivka style with the beautiful flowers and stuff. Is it? I don't. You guys take a look on Discord, and I've got the video of it and pictures of it. It's first of all, it's the only large one I've got. There may be some more coming from Ukraine. We'll see what Vlad's able to get me. But this is the large. I've got a number of smaller ones. This is the only large one I've got right now. It's again, YouTube, I could get away with it. TikTok, I think, would freak out because TikTok's funny that way. I don't want to show like a spent bullet, right? So I'm homophobic. Oh, you're adorable. Whoever said that needs to get muted, by the way, but that's very funny. All right, Alexa, lower the temperature 1 degree. Anyway, so yes, I can't show it. I think
74.
TikTok is so capricious that TikTok is North Korea. Yeah. TikTok is so capricious. I'm not even going to risk it. Not even going to risk it. Iran, U.S. intelligence agrees with Israeli intelligence that Iran is going to attack this week, but nobody knows. Nobody knows. A number of European countries came out today and basically threatened Iran. Don't you dare, but we'll see. The Russians appear to have put, Stacy, thank you, Jen, burning tires on top of the nuclear plant that they're occupying in southern Ukraine. The Russians are occupying the plant. They put tires on top of the cooling plant and set them on fire. The Russians lie routinely as a government. They do crazy stuff. They wanted to, they claimed, oh, it was under attack by the Ukrainians. Everybody looked at it and said, you literally set tires on fire on top of the cooling plant. Also, because there's literally nothing on top of the cooling plant tower that could catch fire. It's cement, which I didn't even know that when I read it. It's those big white towers. They're cement. There's nothing to burn. So that's what happened. The Russians just lied. So, yes. Anyway, what else we got, guys? Yeah, so do check out Discord. You will see the auctions on the left-hand side of Discord. The auctions end Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night, America time. So do check that. And we do actually have more cool stuff coming from Ukraine that Dutch Cossack Klaas is getting us. Vlad got us, but Klaas is bringing it out of the country. But actually, Klaas already brought it out of the country, so he'll be mailing it to me soon. So maybe in 3 weeks, I'll get them. Yes, they do benefit Ukraine. The way I do it is 50% of all the auction stuff we buy. We auction it off. 50% of the money we give back to Ukraine, military, humanitarian. It just depends. Different people Vlad works with. And 50% goes to me because I literally do this for a living. So it's another way. It's a small way, but it's a way of getting a little more income from me. So we auction it off. I just didn't want to, I felt bad auctioning it off 100% for myself, especially at the beginning of the war. So I give 50% of the money just right away to Ukraine. So I am from Chicago originally, Vladislav, but I've been living in Washington, D.C. Forever. So, but I still feel like I am not a Washingtonian. I'm a Chicagoan. So be a bit high and often. Exactly. Like Chicagoans vote early and often. All right, guys. So yeah, let's talk. Oh, hey, Embarera in Chicago. Hello. So what else, guys? Thank you, Mikey and Buddy, for the gifts. There are probably more gifts I missed here. Thank you, guys. Keep the gifts coming. Appreciate it. So yeah, we can talk about the election. We can talk about Ukraine. What do you want to talk about? Ukraine, 63 miles in Russia. We keep getting differing. I have not seen a definitive statement of how deep Ukraine has struck inside Russia, to be honest. Thank you, Boji. Thank you, Jen. Sam, I have not seen your post, but often I don't check out the tags because I'm tagged on too much stuff. So I tend not to see it. There's like too much, basically. Where can you register to vote? You should be able to go online. If you're American, you should be able to go online and just, Google register to vote, and you should get information. Painting above my TV. Above my TV, I got to get out of the way, is not a painting. It is a shadow puppet from Indonesia that my nephew Anthony got me. I forget that he wrote it down. I don't know if the age is 60 years old, maybe 60 or 80 years old. But it's really cool. It's one of those puppets that two-dimensional that you hold the arms up, and I got it framed finally and put on the wall. A little hard to see here, but it's very cool. Yeah. But it's, like I said, I've got to check. I think it's 60 years old or something. I'm going to check now that you're asking, because I should know these things. Shadow. Let me see. Now I want to know. I better have written it. I always write this stuff down. Oh boy, that's bad. I've got to write this down. Anthony told me what it was. Now I'm very upset that I didn't write this down. Indonesia. I'm a little annoyed here. I've got to check with Anthony. Yikes. He had the information on it, and now I'm thinking I don't have this. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to look here, but I'm a little annoyed because I have this written down somewhere, but I'm glad you asked. So, Lou Malnati's or Giordano's, I mean, for deep dish, it's tough. I do like I get tired of Giordano's, but I do like Giordano's. Luminati's I like too. The frozen stuff I do not like. In person, it's pretty good. I like a lot of the deep dish show. I like Gino's, Pizzeria Uno and Due's. I like a lot of the deep dish, to be honest. I've got reading glasses. I just don't. It's the wrong distance for you guys. And right now it's pretty good, but depending on the angle, you get this going on. Although right now with you guys, this isn't too bad. So I probably could use this with you. I've actually got I've got some weaker reading glasses that probably would work with this. I can't get LASIK. I'm too old. I asked my doctor about that. He said at your age, too risky. You could, because I've already getting dry eyes and it's affecting my prescription. He said, if you get LASIKs, it's going to be, actually, this isn't too bad. See, but what I don't like is it doing this. But as long as I'm looking, because I try to look up to look at the cameras. When I look at the cameras, you're getting light shining back. That's the problem. So yes. Yeah, he said, once you get older, you run a greater risk of getting dry eye. There you go. What Ryan just said, mom got LASIK. Now she's got chronic dry eye. How old am I? How old are you? Yeah, but these are cheap. I'm not getting expensive reading glasses. So yes, that's the problem. Unfortunately, I've already had cataracts. So my prescription's fixed, but cataracts actually ruined my reading. They didn't help my reading. They ruined it. Are we going to war? No. Who would we be going to war with? Iran? I mean, if Iran bombs Israel, they're in trouble, but I think they know that. Oh, yours did dry out. That's interesting. Okay. With LASIK as well. That's interesting. Okay. But yeah, my reading got crushed, but now my distance is changing a little, which I'm getting kind of pissed. And I think it's because my eyes are dry, but it's pissing me off because as you can see, I'm doing a little bit of squinting, which I wasn't doing before. So a little annoying. Thank you, Rich, for the gifts. A lot of people complaining, messed up her night vision. That can happen too with LASIK. Yeah, you can get cataract surgery too. You can get like what do you call them? Stars, like pinpoints of light go. Woo. I use eye drops, but literally the doctor was like, use eye drops every 2 hours, and I'm like, I'm not going to be using eye drops every 2 hours. Come on, Israel's endgame. I'm not sure what you mean. With Iran, it's not really Israel. I mean, Israel's endgame is not to get invaded and mass murdered again. Basically, I'm quite serious. I mean, how they accomplish that is not easy. I think a lot of people thought going in they weren't going to be able to Israel was not going to be able to destroy all of Hamas, and they're finding out that fact right now. But so I don't know. End game is hard. This is a similar. I told you guys when the war started with Israel and Gaza. This was very much like 9/11, September 11th. Hamas, and they knew they did. Hamas put Israel in a position where Israel didn't have a choice but to basically nuke Gaza. You killed 1,400 people or 1,200 people, mass murdered them. I mean, in American terms, I forgot if I did the numbers, whether that was like 40,000 people. Like on September 11th, instead of losing 3,000 people, we lost 40,000. I mean, we leveled Afghanistan and frankly, Iraq, which was Bush lying, just because 3,000 people died. Okay. Victim blaming. I got news for you. The conflict's a little complicated. So victim blaming. There's been terrorism against Israel and the West for 75 years because of the conflict in the Middle East. And it's been coming from the Palestinians. Both sides are victims and both sides share some of the blame. So please study it. You'll be very sad when you study it, but do study it and you'll be surprised. But yes, if you're going to kill the equivalent of 40,000 Americans, you're going to get the crap bombed out of you. Yes. And if you don't believe that, that's fine. But then you're never going to be very good at international relations, because if you can't predict what countries are going to do and you can't predict what action will cause what response, then you're going to be very bad at politics, because that's what politics is all about. And being good at foreign relations is looking at things and saying, okay, if we do this, what's going to happen? If they do this, what's going to happen? Which is why, frankly, you try to stop these things from happening, because you know, if Hamas blows the crap out of Israel and kills 1,400 people, Israel's going to blow the crap out of Hamas. And by the way, Hamas hides among civilians. Bad news all around. So this was totally predictable. Hamas wanted it to happen. So what do you do? I mean, it's bad, but I am not surprised any of this is happening. And people who pretend they're surprised and shocked and horrid at what Israel did, I'm not surprised. Again, it's what we did on 9/11. It may not have been good what we did on 9/11. We had no choice. And that's the problem. It's very easy as a bystander to say, America shouldn't have invaded Afghanistan after 9/11. Well, good luck telling that to the American people when 3,000 Americans got murdered. There was no stopping us. And frankly, I agree about us invading Afghanistan, but there was no stopping us. And you've got to realize that if you're ever going to try to figure out how to solve these things. Zenny eyewear. That would be good. That would be good. Eyewear. That would be funny getting the eyewear stuff. I do get the eye drops I get the Costco eye drops. I do. Anyway, we talked about the burning cooling tower or whatever over at the Ukrainian nuclear plant that the Russians stole. So that was bad. Is Ukraine in a good position right now? 50-50. The war is kind of a tie right now. I mean, Russia is occupying 18% of Ukraine. That's bad. But Russia's having a hard time advancing. Ukraine is having a hard time pushing back. They're both doing pretty well in a stalemate. The Ukrainians just invaded Russia, which was a disaster for Russia. And they're occupying Russian territory. That's a disaster for Russia. But in terms of where the war goes, Russia's had enough time. And frankly, this is the US's fault. We gave them support. Europe's too. We gave them support, but the Germans, the French, and the Americans were so scared of pissing off Putin that we didn't give them enough of support quickly enough. And it gave the Russians time to dig in, which made it infinitely harder to push the Russians out. So right now, I feel like the war is stuck where it is. Does that mean Ukraine's ahead? No. Does it mean Russia's ahead? Not really, because Russia has to defend the territory it stole, and it's having a hard time doing it because the Ukrainians are just going to keep blowing them up, right? So very, very fucked up. Yeah, YWN I already said about George Bush. He lied. That's why the war in Iraq started, because George Bush lied. The second Iraq war. Not going to defend that one. Afghanistan, justified. The Bush in Iraq he could have killed Osama bin Laden in the first couple of years had he not taken the assets and moved them to Iraq. It was terrible. Absolutely terrible. First Iraq war, very good. Very good. I'm not worried about any riots because you know what? If Kamala Harris wins, I got news for you guys. Guess who controls the U.S. military? Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. If Republicans think they're going to have riots, good luck trying to overthrow the government. Good luck, because you're going to be facing the United States military, and I dare you to face an American military drone with your little Ma rifle. Good luck with that. So, I'm convinced Trump will probably go violent like he did last time. Trump did try to violently overthrow the government, but people are ready for it this time. And this time, I'd be very surprised, especially after a Republican, by the way, tried to kill Trump. I think everyone is going to be way more careful or way more on guard against any bullshit like that this time. China, Taiwan. Eventually, we're afraid China's going to invade. We hope it's not going to be for another 4 years. There is discussion that the Chinese may not be, hopefully aren't ready to invade. And once they do, even now, the military war games tend to show that we would beat China, that we'd go to war with China and we'd win, but it would be very costly to us, which is not good. And what would Russia do? Would Russia invade Europe? I mean, like lots of problem scenarios. It could be it could be a very big world war, But if China invades Taiwan, we're going to war with China. Yes. And that would be a justified thing, sadly. But because the thinking is that China isn't ready, that China doesn't really have its military to the point that it needs to be able to that it thinks it could successfully win. Because if they attack Taiwan, they're attacking the United States. We've already said we'll go to war with China. So China has to be able to beat the U.S. in a war, and they don't think they can do that for 4 years. And even in 4 years, we still think we can win. But China doesn't think there's any chance they can win right now. That's our thinking, right? I mean, you're trying to figure out what the Chinese think, right? Who knows, right? It's not a bad thing. Yeah, Rookinator says, who do you expect or hope to see join the Republicans for Harris movement? Phoenix mayor spoke very well. Yeah, the mayor of Phoenix, and I think maybe two other Republicans in Arizona came out today supporting Kamala Harris. I don't know. I mean, a lot of the Never Trump people are already there. The thing is, Donald Trump lost the election in 2020 because he lost the middle, right? Voters in the middle, women, I suspect suburban women, a lot of voters in the middle said, you know what, I can't. I mean, I know Republicans who were diehard Trumpers. I mean, crazy supporting Trumper. Can't stand. One relative of mine who was a diehard Trumper, and I mean, hated Hillary, all the typical stuff. And I mean, lovely person, but hated all of them, is now voting for Kamala, hates Donald Trump. I found that out last year, and is voting for Kamala Harris because she so hates Donald Trump. That's very interesting for a pretty conservative Republican who was a big Trump supporter. So I think the good thing is sane Republicans, even though there aren't a lot of them left, sane Republicans didn't vote for Trump last time. And Trump, being Trump, is reminding them of who he is. And Trump, we've got 3 more months for Donald Trump to remind the country about what a lying piece of human filth he is. I mean, literally, the New York Times reporting this weekend, Donald Trump calls Kamala Harris a bitch repeatedly to his campaign staff. I mean, he's not a good man, and the country knows it. I mean, they voted against him once, and I think people forgot, and they thought, I think people really thought like, oh, how bad could it be? As if we didn't live through this 4 years ago, right? 4 years ago, we couldn't buy toilet paper because Donald Trump let COVID go out of control. 4 years ago, people were dying of COVID left and right because Trump claimed it was going to go away magically. He literally used the word magic, like magic, in 2 weeks. That was in April of 2020. It did not go away. It's still there, but was very bad for 2 years. People kind of forgot. And Donald Trump opened his big mouth and reminded everybody of how scary, how crude, how crass, how disrespectful, how unintelligent, and how dangerous he is. So it's good. Ironically, I think, because it's funny. The first time Trump got so much attention in the news that it helped him. Trump was getting so much press attention that it gave him a push in the polls. Now I think every time people see Trump, his base loves him, but everybody else goes, whoa. Right? JD Vance, we're gonna force women to give birth to the babies of their rapists and incest. He called it an inconvenience. Women are inconvenienced by being pregnant by rape. They're and incest. It's an inconvenience, and they want to get rid of the baby because it's inconvenient for them. I mean, he literally said this. He was asked about forcing. He said forcing them. He agreed we should force them. Okay, right? JD Vance, the guy who said women in violent relationships should stay. And women who leave violent relationships, leave them the way they go to another man, the way they would change their underwear. I've got a TikTok video on this. They literally leave them, and he used the word violent. They leave violent relationships as if they're changing their underwear and going to someone else. In other words, they're frivolous because what person would leave a relationship where they're getting beaten, right? He also said, and they think it's better for them to leave a violent relationship. He goes, I'm skeptical. No, I mean, like, I can't, in a million years, I literally can't, guys. I can't think of one example where a woman in a violent relationship is better off staying in that relationship. Literally, give me one example where she's better off staying in a violent relationship, right? There's no example. There's none. I mean, you're poor, then you go and deal with some of the public women's shelters. They're not even public. There's private women's shelters and stuff like that, right? There is no scenario. I can imagine that, Dragonfly. Yeah, your church told you to stay, right? I mean, but it's anyway, this is the kind of crazy stuff that I just think JD Vance is not helping because Trump picked crazy guy. Trump wanted crazy guy, crazy MAGA guy, and he got crazy MAGA guy. Well, it's blowing up in their face. Let's see. But again, Democrats can still lose. Absolutely. But a lot of American people aren't cult members. They don't think women should be forced to give birth to rapist babies. They don't think women should stay in violent relationships, right? I mean, thank you, Ellie, or Ellie, for the hand heart. We just did half a show on Ukraine, Adina. You missed it. Now we're doing the Q&A part. Hey, Dana, maybe the hacking is a feint by Trump for attention. Yes, it's possible. One weird thing about Trump being hacked, because Trump claims he was hacked. We don't know if he was hacked. Thank you, Green Thumb. Thank you, Dina. is Politico was approached by someone claiming they had documents from the Trump team. And the quote, they asked him, where did you get them from? I don't know if anybody can Google this. They asked him, where did you get these documents from? And the quote literally sounded like John Barron, who's Trump used to pretend he would call the press in New York and to try to get in stories. Well, I'm John Barron and Donald Trump did this today. You should report on it. And they knew it was literally Trump on the phone. I mean, imagine with Donald Trump's accent, calling and pretending Donald Trump, right? Donald, right? Oh, I'm not Donald Trump. I mean, you're like, come on, right? So he would call and pretend to be this guy, John Barron. This quote to Politico, I forget what the guy said, but the quote was something like, I cannot tell you who I am or I will go to jail. It was something so weird. It sounded so cockeyed English weird that like I heard it and immediately went, he sounds like Trump. Who knows? Again, Trump is a pathological liar. He lied 162 times in his press conference he did last week. In 1 hour, he lied 162 times, according to National Public Radio. He's a pathological liar, so you can't trust him. He says he was hacked. Maybe. I guess we'll find out if the media releases the documents, which they won't because they're going to help him, Oh, man. One, it sure is two per 2.5 per minute. It's Donald Trump. It's not possible. Have you listened to Donald Trump? Of course it's possible. I did some videos on TikTok of him speaking. Donald Trump, he talks like this. Oh, Hillary. Oh my God, Google. And Mark Zuckerberg called me. Mark Zuckerberg, he likes me. He called me 3 times, but Google sent a bad staffer. That's literally a quote that I did on TikTok the other day of Trump. I just gave you like 8 sentences in 10 seconds. Trump could have easily now multiplied that by 6, right? That would be like 48 sentences. Trump lying in 2 of those sentences. Yeah, accordion hands. Trump lying in 2 of those sentences. Very easy. Yeah. He's doing the Elon. I know. I'm not going to watch the Elon thing. And Elon's got, the only thing is, let's face it, Elon is not the most magnetic personality. So Elon Trump interviewing Donald Trump is going to be, right? Kamala Harris's crowds are fake, AI. And Elon is going to be talking like a white South African, Henry Kissinger, so yeah, it should be interesting. I'm not too convinced. Of course I'm voting for Kamala Harris. Are you kidding? I'm not going to vote for the rapist who tried to violently overthrow the government and loves America's enemies and hates the troops. Need I go on? I think not. UK has already convicted 500 white supremacists since the riot started. Good. I'm surprised I doubt they convicted them. They couldn't convict them that easily, could they? There's no way. I'm just surprised. Is that kind of quickly, right? I don't really spell my name in Greek very often, but when I do, there's an I. It's not Y-A, it's Y-I-A. Yep. When I do spell it. Alexa, raise the temperature 1 degree. My temperature always goes up and down and up and down. Alexa, raise the temperature. Oh, no. I didn't want it to go up. Hold on. I want it to go down. One second. Oops. There we go. All right. I told her to raise it and I wanted it lowered, so now I had to adjust it. It's fine. I did it myself. I did it. Anyway, thank you, Randy, for the gifts. What else, guys? 32,000 times Donald lied in 4 years. I'm sure he lied more than that. Guys, just watching the presidential debate, the number of times he lied in that debate, my God, black unemployment was at its lowest level, lower than under Biden. Lie. Black unemployment did hit its lowest level under Trump in history, and then it went even more under Biden, right? He lies about everything. The economy was terrible under Barack Obama. Sorry. The economy was terrible under Barack Obama. No, it wasn't. The economy actually was amazing under Barack Obama. Unemployment got to 4.9%, and under Trump, it dropped only 1 point more. Trump got the unemployment to drop only 1 percentage point more and claimed to everybody, the economy, it was so bad. The economy actually grew more under President Obama at a higher rate than it did under Trump. But Trump says this. Trump added more to the national debt than Obama did. Trump added more to the national debt than Biden did. Trump added more to the national debt in the first 3 years of his presidency before COVID. Forget about COVID. Let's pretend COVID, it wasn't his fault, even though it was. The first 3 years of Trump's presidency before COVID, he added more to the national debt than Joe Biden. So, yeah. No, he's a pathological liar. Absolute freaking lie. I was watching that debate. I'm forgetting everything he's saying now. Oh, after-birth abortion or post-birth abortion, Trump and the Republicans have created this thing that Democrats give birth to babies and then they abort them. Sure. Do they go into the nursery and go, oh, there's a baby, let's get him? I mean, they just, and again, it's been fact-checked to death. He lies about everything. He claims credit for this military program that Obama created. I mean, it's just, he is a and now he's claiming Kamala Harris when she was in Detroit or whatever. I think it was Detroit, or what city was it? The crowds are fake. The crowds are fake. Look at the engine of the plane. You can see the reflection of the airfield, and there's nobody there. So CNN and NBC released the video showing the entire area with like 10,000 people. He is a pathological liar in the worst way. The worst way. He is a dangerous man. He's a fascist and a felon. So yes. Very easy to imagine him lying 160 times in an hour? 160? What do we say? Yeah, very easy to imagine, you know? Why isn't Iran striking? I think for starters, they've gotten a lot of threats from the West. The Russians asked them not to, or asked them to at least not do too much. Thank you, Jen. And Russia is their benefactor. Well, they're also Russia's benefactor. It goes both ways. So that helped. I think they're trying to play a little bit of a psychological game with Israel too, like make the Israelis every day have to wait and look for an attack. But Iran's in a weird position because Iran feels like they've got to strike back. But at the same time, thank you. Who was that? Naughty chicken. Thank you, Red. If Iran hits back too far, Israel's going to blow the crap out of them. Thank you, Timothy. Thank you, Red. And if Iran hits too far, the U.S. is going to blow the crap out of them. If Iran goes too far, it is going to be war in the Middle East. And I think the Iranians, let's see. Oh boy. What else? There have been claims of election. What would be the threshold be for Elon and X? What do you mean, Trilitic? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Would Kamala defend Israel? Yes. Any American president would. That's what I'm saying. Like the Palestinian protester people, you guys don't get it. Like America supports Israel. They're not. I mean, they're going to feel sorry for the Palestinians. They're going to help the Palestinians if we can. And by the way, we've been instrumental in multiple peace deals that the Palestinians turned down and shouldn't have turned down. But when it comes down to it, Israel's our ally. So, and Israel's more important strategically. They just are. But again, multiple peace deals. So maybe at some point the Palestinians will get a leadership that isn't a terrorist group and will accept peace. But, who knows? How long till Putin falls out a window? Interesting question. I mean, he's not doing well. Thank you, buddy, for the gift. He's not doing well. This is really, guys, he had, Prigozhin tried to overthrow Putin's government a year ago and almost succeeded. They attacked Moscow. They made their way from Ukraine up to Moscow, and there was nobody to stop them. It was an incredible security lapse. And now the Ukrainians are doing something similar, but in a province rather than Moscow. I think Putin will probably get the land back. From Ukraine. But Jesus Christ, Ukraine should have never been able to get this land. This is just embarrassing. So he runs a very tight dictatorship. So I think it's hard to overthrow him, but I also think, and correct, we don't know, Margot, who would take over after Putin. That's the problem. That's part of the reason why, you be very careful if you help to overthrow a government, you want to be very careful and be sure who's coming next. Because if something worse comes, then maybe you shouldn't be overthrowing the government, right? So anyway. I'm yawning at you again. Sorry. Exactly. Possible power vacuums, etc. when you overthrow dictators. Medvedev, I know. He's kind of missing, actually, the last few days, they said. Oh, thank you, Cameron. Appreciate that. He's been missing the last few days. Medvedev, who's this crazy Russian leader, he was the big liberal 20 years ago, pro-West, the sane, normal, pro-democracy guy, and now he's a raving lunatic, absolute raving lunatic. I mean, the stuff with Iran in terms of impact on our elections, Red is asking, if Iran overreacts and goes to war with Israel, Americans support Israel. I mean, a lot of you don't, but you're not most of Americans. Most of Americans support Israel. American politicians support Israel. Biden has no choice, nor does Karras, but to defend Israel. They don't, because Americans do. That's it. If Iran attacks Israel, here's the thing. Iran attacks Israel and Biden responds well in terms of defending Israel. That could help. I mean, the far left won't like it, but that's too bad, right? Most Americans do. Most Americans would approve. The only thing is Trump has been trying to portray this whole, look at war in Ukraine, that happened under Biden. Look at the Middle East falling apart, that happened under Biden. And he's trying to blame Biden for his friend Putin, invading Ukraine, and Biden for the, Hamas terrorists invading Israel. Well, Biden had nothing to do with that. But who knows? But it's a possibility. Voters look at, oh my God, chaos everywhere around the world. We didn't have this before. And they blame the guy in power. That's possible. It's possible. Or they see Biden defending Israel and they say, and maybe Kamala Harris coming out and speaking strongly for Israel. And they go, okay, we like that. Again, Palestinian supporters won't like it, but guess what? You're a minority in this country. And you're especially a minority in terms of those who vote based on the issue. You know what I mean? Let's face it, most of us, even those of you who, you really are pissed off at Israel, you're not sitting out the election and going to risk Trump getting elected. That would be stupid, right? You're just not. I've been pissed at Obama before during the election. I wasn't going to vote against Obama and let the Republicans win, even though I was pissed at Obama. Most normal people don't do that. So I just feel like in the end, they're making a lot of noise, but and what Chris just said too, Iran, very bad place. No matter what you think of Israel, forget the Palestinian thing. Israel versus Iran is a no-brainer. We defend Israel, Iran can go to hell. That's not even there's no question there. You get an even smaller percentage of Americans, and I'm talking literally the fringe of the fringe in America is going to say, don't bomb Iran, that would be bad. Now, the MAGA people, who knows? The MAGA people are a funny one, because when it came to Russia, right, they defend our enemies, right? So that God forbid we help Ukraine because they want to suck up to Putin. But they hate Iran. This is like the China thing. They hate China. So China becomes a weird thing for them because, the Chinese could look and say, well, Americans are tired of war. We can invade Taiwan. Yeah, except the Republicans hate you. And they have no problem. The Republicans also hate Iran. Democrats don't love Iran, but Republicans hate them. So I think it would put Trump in a weird position. Trump would have to, and guess who else hates Iran? Israel. And the Republicans are trying to be big suck-ups on Israel. So, I think you are going to see bipartisan support for standing up to Iran. Even though Americans are worried about a broader war, they would be. But I still think the polls would say we defend Israel and we don't let Iran do crazy stuff. See here. Anyway. MAGA likes Israel. I don't think MAGA hates Israel. They like Israel. MAGA wants Israel to go up in flames when Jesus comes. Let's Google this. It's a whole thing. The MAGA / evangelical Christians. The reason they support Israel is, I kid you not, I've been working on this stuff for 20 years, like following the religious right. They support Israel because Israel has to exist in order for Jesus to come back to earth in the second coming. If Israel doesn't exist, Jesus can't come back. So that's why evangelical Christians are such supporters of Israel, because we can't let the Arabs destroy Israel or Jesus can't come back. What they don't tell you next is Jesus comes back, and what does he do? He sets Israel on fire, and 2/3 of the world's Jews go up in flames. 1/3 of the world Jews become Christians and get saved, but the ones who don't die and go to hell. That is the evangelicals' vision for Jews worldwide and Israel. So whenever you see evangelicals talk about how, oh, we love the Jews, we love Israel, they literally, it's like human sacrifice. Human sacrifice is maybe a good way of putting it. They literally want Israel because they need 2/3 of Israelis to die and 2/3 of Jews worldwide actually to die in the second coming of Christ. I kid you not. And it's funny too, because I often, when I would talk about it, I did some TikTok videos on this. I'd get, the evangelicals were like, that's not true. And then a number of people who, like me, have been following this stuff for 20 years were like, I'm an evangelical. That literally is what we're taught. It's crazy stuff. Now, having said that, if you're Israeli or Jewish, they support you now. So you could, and frankly, if you're Israeli, maybe you don't believe Jesus is coming back. So you're like, you know what? If these people think Jesus is coming back and it's going to get them to support me, works for me, right? Because if you're Israeli, you may not think he's actually coming back, or you figure I'll deal with that one later. Flower Lady says she was, and we know Flower Lady, so I trust her when she says she was taught that. But it's true from an Israeli perspective, you might as well go with MAGA protecting you now. And if they try to blow up Israel when Jesus comes back, you worry about that then, So anyway, all right, guys, I think I'm going to get going. It's 20 after. We've been doing this for an hour and 20 minutes. I did my show earlier today as well. I'm going to try to do one tomorrow. Let's see. Another one. Jonathan was taught that as a child as well. Recovered Southern Baptist. Oh yeah. Okay. The Baptists. Ooh. I used to always tell people too, what the Baptists and like evangelicals say about Catholics. Woo. Woo. I can't even give you those quotes. I know the quotes. I can't even give you those quotes. What the Baptists say about the Virgin Mary. Woo. Yeah, pretty bad. I used to do podcasts. But honestly, it never took off. And it was just so much work we did it for 4 years, but it just didn't take off. This has taken off much more, so it's been worth it. But the podcast, we just weren't getting enough listeners. We weren't getting any money, forget that. But we weren't getting enough listeners too, so it just wasn't really worth, after 4 years, if no one's listening, you go, not no one, but you know what I mean? You kind of go, okay, what's the point of this? So in Illinois, oh, that's funny. I never think of us having Baptists in Illinois. It's Southern Illinois, maybe? I'm from Illinois too, but I'm from Northern Illinois, Chicago area. Thank you, Sam. Have you seen the Ukrainians are using biological warfare now? I doubt it. The drone dropping cans of surströmming into Russian trenches with a grenade fuse. What's surströmming? Oh, hey, Sam. What do you mean biological warfare? What is surströmming? Haven't seen you in a while. Is that a joke? I assume it's some kind of joke. What's the joke though? I don't know what that is. Nasty fish. Oh, Joe Marquis says nasty fish. Okay. Oh, so it's like a famously nasty German fish. Swedish can of fermented herring. Okay, that's very funny. Okay, that's funny. The Russians may like that crap though. Who knows, right? Oh, hey, user 342 in Texas. Nice to see you. They might like that stuff. That's funny. Video of surströmming. Okay, please do. That's funny. Worst smell ever. That's very funny. That's funny. All right, guys. I think I'm going to sign off. We'll be back tomorrow at the very least. I'm going to yawn at you. At the very least, I'll be back at 6:00 Eastern time. Oh, hey, Green Blue in Iceland. We rarely hear from Icelanders. I think that's probably the correct term for you. But thank you, Grumpy, for the gift too. I'll be back tomorrow night, 6:00 Eastern time, US. That's when we do our free show. I will probably do a show during the day. Let's see. I don't know whether I'll do a show during the day for the election update for the paid subscribers. I might. Let's just see how it goes. And I have no idea how much I made today on gifts. I never can tell until the show's over. TikTok never shows me, which is actually a bad thing. Thank you, NJ Patman, because it would actually be helpful. And thank you for the last minute gifts, by the way, Jeremy. It actually would be helpful to know how many gifts came in, because I could say, okay, guys, we're a little under where we need to. Because honestly, in my head, I have an idea of at least a minimum where we need to be. And a lot of times we don't make it. Sometimes we beat it, but a lot of times we don't. And I won't know until afterwards. So it's not, I wish they would. Again, if I were advising TikTok would be a much more profitable business. Actually, you know what, too? Thank you, Rock Hunter. Thank you, Adina. Thank you, Unger, Mary, Red, Shebug. TikTok. Oh, I love those. That's my favorite. Is actually the dancing flower. Thank you, Flower Lady. That one's so cool. Anyway, again, TikTok's not listening to me. So what do you do? Thank you, Sunshine. Thank you, Randy. All right, guys. You're all going to keep throwing gifts. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Lindu. All right, I'm going to sign off. Oh, even cool. Who was that? Dawn. Thank you, Dawn. Very cool gift. We're still having to mute people at the end of the show. Wow, that's too bad. Thank you, Super Hornet. Tick Leap. I don't even know what that is. Thank you, Sarah. I don't think I want to watch Trump's interview, to be honest. Thank you. I love that dead goose or whatever he is. Who is it? Oh, was that Randy? No, Randy was the heart puff. Yvette was the heart. Who just did the goose? Where's my goose? Confetti stinging bee from Hedge. Sarah. Corn is red. Timothy Leary, you're sweet. Shane is the goose. Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Shane. You're at 77. How do you know that? Does it tell you guys? How do you know that? Oh, hey, Green Blue. Thanks for subscribing. That's funny. I have no. I mean, I'll be very surprised if it is where it's at because I have no idea. That's very funny. I know that goose is kind of the goose. I find very funny, and I like the flowers because I think the flowers are very. I got a nice landing subscriber. Woo woo! Thank you. Hey, thank you, High Tide. That those flowers that Dawn or whoever just did are really funny too because they're like growing out of your head and they move. TikTok has a number of really cool gifts. I mean, they're all nice, but several of it tells you your daily ranking. Oh, funny. Annie, let me know where I'm curious now because I don't even know where that is. That's very funny. That's very funny. Huh. Okay. No clue. I like it. Now you got me looking here. See, I can see the subscribers that I've got, but beyond that, no. Beyond number of diamonds, but I never know how much the diamonds mean. Yeah. Anyway, interesting. Oh, that no. Oh no, that's a very cool one. Who was that? Okay, I can tell that one's really good. Mary, thank you, Mary. That was very cool. Thank you, Dawn. You don't all have to keep giving gifts now, but thank you, both of you. That was very sweet. I always say you can tell like TikTok also does that. Like the cooler gifts are more generous gifts. You can tell when you see them. It's funny. You can just sort of tell. 2 diamonds are a penny. Oh, that's an interesting way of thinking of it. That's interesting. Thank you, Red, for the gift. Yeah, that was very sweet. Mary and Dawn both. Thank you, guys. All right. Thank you, Red. Thank you, Louise. Why is this guy on TikTok still? The more important question is, why are you watching? What I love, too, is not only is he watching the troll, but he's commenting, which is telling TikTok's algorithm to watch me. Like, because he's commenting. So it's telling them, oh, you like this guy. So it's going to show me more to you, which is funny. And it's going to show more people because of you, which is also very funny. Thank you, Ryan. All right, guys, I'm going to hang up. Thank you all so much. I'll see you tomorrow, at least tomorrow night, maybe tomorrow during the day as well. He got my goat. Yeah, he literally got my goat. That's exactly it. Thank you, Shane. All right, YouTube, I'm signing off. All right, TikTokers. Oh, another.